Navigating the COVID-19 pandemic has been a focus of the chairman of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Browne, and his predecessor, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley. This is so because the pandemic had disproportionately affected the Caribbean region, devastating especially the tourism-dependent economies with the introduction of lockdowns and travel restrictions. Prime Minister Rowley had been a fervent advocate for a more equitable distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines instead of hoarding by the world's larger economies. But on Monday, during the virtual installation ceremony of the new Secretary-General of CARICOM Dr. Carla Barnett, Prime Minister Browne said that the vaccine hesitancy was becoming a considerable issue in the Caribbean.
In the region, we have to tackle the twin contradictory issues of access to vaccines as well as vaccine hesitancy among our populations. And we must not be daunted by these challenges. We are compelled to triumph over this murderous pandemic. In many of our member states, the percentage of our population that has been fully vaccinated is still unacceptably low. And there is great risk that we will not reach herd immunity in very many months. We need to correct this, and we have to continue to stand together to fight the issue of vaccine hesitancy, which is perhaps the most significant threat to the region at this time.
Over the past few weeks, donations of vaccines to the Caribbean region were announced by the United States. Some countries have been able to benefit from further supplies from the international COVAX facility, while other countries have been able to procure vaccines on their own as well. The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, as of Tuesday, reported that nearly 3 million vaccine doses have been distributed across the Caribbean region, excluding Latin Caribbean countries. But there have been some anti-vaccination sentiments. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves was struck with a rock, reportedly by an anti-vaccination protester. In Antigua and Barbuda and Guyana, there were some protests over the introduction of vaccination requirements. Providing brief remarks at her installation ceremony, Dr. Barnett said that she is assuming the position acutely aware of the challenges the community faces at this time.
Chair, I begin my tenure with no misapprehensions about the severity of the challenges that our community faces economically, socially, environmentally, and financially. The thrust to build resilience against the existential threat of climate change in all its dimensions, and the urgency of constructing a recovery from the adverse effects of the COVID-19 pandemic demand our continued focused energy. Even as we address these critical tasks, we cannot afford to neglect youth unemployment, which has led the explosion of the jobless in the wake of COVID-19. A troubling rise in crime, especially violent crime in the home and on the streets. The need to strengthen food security, reduce the incidence of non-communicable diseases, and more effectively address the issue of blacklisting by the major industrial countries and the consequential loss of correspondent banking relations. All of these affect the lives and livelihoods of each and everyone in our community.
The chairman of CARICOM and the new Secretary-General will work with the heads of government of CARICOM to bring relief to the region. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vashani Raghbir.